Hello everyone and welcome back to Sadaa Wild Stories. Today's episode is going to be unlike anything you've seen on this channel before, or perhaps anywhere else. It's a heart-wrenching tale of a mother's unwavering love and devotion towards her young ones. Join me as I share this extraordinary story and unscripted drama from the wild, revealing the moment of natural history that has rarely been witnessed live or captured on camera before. My journey to Tadoba this time was driven by the desire to capture a tigress named COLLARWALI and her 4 adorable cubs, who had taken the world of tiger tourism by storm. But little did I know, I was about to witness a pivotal moment in this family's life, a moment that would leave a lasting mark on my heart. As we embarked on our first safari, our spirits dampened when our guide informed us that COLLARWALI had made a kill 2 days prior far away from her territory in Telia Lake, where we had anticipated to see her. She had also taken the cubs with her, which meant the chances of seeing this family were now slim. But we knew it was only a matter of time before she finished the kill and returned to her regular spot in the lake, as that was a safer place for her little ones. The next day, the park was closed. This morning, as we entered the park through Kutwanda Gate, our excitement grew as we spotted the pug marks of the mother with cubs leading from the kill spot towards Telia Lake. We were thrilled, thinking we would finally witness the entire family for the first time. But as we reached Telia, we realized the laws of nature can be unpredictable and at times shocking. We saw COLLARWALI appearing from the dense foliage, but she was accompanied for a very long time with only one of her 4 cubs. Our initial thought was that the other 3 cubs must be hiding in the nearby bushes and would come out eventually after hearing their mother's calls. But as the minutes ticked by and COLLARWALI's calls went unanswered, the atmosphere became tense, and we couldn't shake off the feeling that something was not right. As the tigress ventures out to hunt or mark her territory, she must leave her vulnerable cubs behind. During these fleeting moments, the cubs stay in the place exactly where their mother has left them. Their survival depends on their ability to stay hidden from potential predators that might seize the opportunity to attack. The cubs wait patiently until they hear the sound of their mother's call. It's only when they hear her distinctive voice they emerge from their hiding spot, reuniting with the one who keeps them safe. But on this particular day, something was amiss. Despite the mother's repeated calls, the missing cubs did not respond. The silence that followed the calls was deafening. The reason the cubs didn't respond meant either they were paralyzed with fear, too terrified to respond, or they were no longer in that area, hinting that something was terribly wrong. The anxious calls continued to echo through the air for what felt like forever, and the tension gripped us all. The tourists had already begun to murmur, "She's lost her cubs, she's only got one left now." All eyes were fixed on COLLARWALI as she desperately searched for her missing cubs. The little one, sensing its mother's anxiety, joined in and started calling out for its siblings. She stopped by to comfort her cub before she would continue to look for the remaining cubs. Both Collarwali and her cub walked a lot with the only intent to find the missing cubs. It was very painful to watch Collarwali keep calling, looking for her cubs and walking non-stop with the only cub that was with her. Just when the situation seemed bleakest, our driver Nitesh spotted a tiny figure emerging on the distant island. Yes, it was the second cub, and before we could even process it, the cub had plunged into the water and started swimming towards another island, farther away from its anxious mother. I found myself praying hard for Collarwali to notice her cub, but it remained out of her line of sight. Soon the cub, who swam across the water, probably began to call out, and Collarwali, sensing its cries, took a few tentative steps in that direction, calling more frequently now. After a point, she sat down in the water, joined by the cub who was with her. But her calls continued. The tension for me now was unbearable. I was hoping her to swim across and rescue the stranded cub, but she just sat. In a stunning turn of events, the cub with Collarwali took the initiative and started swimming towards the island where its sibling had swam earlier. And then, finally, Collarwali also followed. Now our hopes soared as we speculated that the other two cubs might be hiding on the same island, drawing the second cub to swim towards it. We held our breath, eagerly awaiting Collarwali's emergence with all four cubs with her. But our excitement once again was short-lived. After a while, Collarwali reappeared, but alone. She swam across and waited. She once again started calling the cubs, but there was no response from any of her cubs. With a seeming sense of defeat and hopelessness, she swam back across the water to the island. A little later, we found her walking along the bank of the same island. But this time she wasn't alone. She was accompanied by her 2 cubs. Our minds were racing once again with questions. What was happening? What would become of her other 2 cubs? Had they gone forever? We were on the edge wondering what the ultimate outcome to all this would be. Collarwali and her 2 cubs swam across the lake towards us. In any other situation, we would have been extremely happy to witness such a wonderful sight. But here, it was a tense moment. She frequently glanced back over her shoulder. Her anxious gaze seemed to be scanning the surroundings, either sensing a potential threat or looking for her missing cubs. As soon as she reached the bank, she hastily took her cubs out of Telia Lake. We watched with surprise as she literally ran out of that area, confirming our doubts that some unfortunate event had indeed occurred that morning. She walked non-stop for 2 kilometers along the main tar road that goes all the way to Mohurli Gate with the 2 tiny cubs by her side. She led the cubs to a water body that is barely 250 meters away from the gate. As we stood there, watching them go, we were left with a haunting sense of uncertainty, once again wondering what had happened to the 2 missing cubs. The drama, however, was far from over. Part 2 of this thrilling and heartbreaking drama from the wild is coming soon. Do watch to know what happened to the other 2 missing cubs of Collarwali.